Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey there, Summit host. Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software and your host on the Virtual Summit Podcast. And we are in for a treat in today's episode. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be diving into a topic we haven't covered very much on the Virtual Summit Podcast, one that I think is a huge opportunity for most of you summit hosts to capitalize not only monetarily, but also just to really kind of position your summit and your brand in a better way. And we are fortunate to have legendary Rose Jubb here with us today. How are you doing, Rose?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to dive into this and talk about the topic of sponsorships. You're a speaker on summits. You've sponsored some summits, and it's an aspect that I think is really, really important. So I'm looking forward to diving into that information. But before we do, Rose, I would love for you to let our audience know just a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, well, I am a wardrobe stylist and image consultant here in Portland, Oregon. Although my business has kind of progressed to the point where most of my clients are virtual. I have an online virtual closet system. If you have ever seen Clueless, it's kind of like that. But also I have courses if people like to DIY, kind of learn how to style themselves or clean out their closets, all that stuff. You can totally DIY it, but there's also high touch services that I provide. And I also have a pilot series, like a little makeover show on Prime Video currently called Closet Goals that you can check out. Yeah.
That is awesome. A little celebrity here with us today on the Virtual Summit Podcast. That's awesome. Well, let's roll back a little bit into, the conception of summits for you. Like, did you start off as a speaker or did you go straight into sponsoring? Like, what was your first kind of touch with summits and what was going on at that time?
I was still growing my business, still usually working with clients locally. So doing a lot of closet work, a lot of shopping, appointments in person. And I got approached to be a speaker at an online summit. And during the process of onboarding me as a speaker, they offered me a sponsorship position and sounded great. So I went ahead with that and did that as well as speaking.
Well, I'd love to get like some insights from you on this, because you went from essentially like a brick and mortar business, if you will, to speaking on a summit. Had you known about summits before that, or was that your first kind of experience? And what did you think at that time, at that beginning?
That was kind of my first. I hadn't really. I mean, it made sense to me that was happening, and that was like people were doing that more often. But I hadn't heard of it or done it before. And it really got me thinking about how to expand my business and make it a little more national and now international. How to, make it so anybody anywhere can use my services or learn from me. So it was a really positive turning point in my business, I think, to start, expanding how I think I can do this business. But I hadn't heard of it before when I first signed up.
Excellent. Like, I love this. I love tapping into this because I think there's a lot of potential sponsors, that would be excited and benefit from sponsoring a summit, but maybe weren't aware of it. So when somebody reached out, I mean, if they reached out to you, I believe is what you said, when they reached out about it, what was it? Like, what kind of concern did you have at the time? Let's say if you were going to be paying, a couple $1,000s, like what concerns would you have and what would be going through your mind that would be good for a summit host to kind of help put at ease?
I think looking back, if I were to do it again, I would have been very specific about what I was going to get for my sponsorship. It ended up being a very positive experience all over. It raises your kind of cred level. You get to put their logo on your speaking page. There's all sorts of positive aspects. But because it was my first time speaking at an online summit, and then I decided to sponsor it too, I think I would have been very clear about, okay, what do I get out of this? And you are paying money for this. It's advertising, basically. I probably would have negotiated a little bit more if I would have known and had them be very clear about, okay, where's my logo going to be on? Is it going to be on every video? Is it going to be, or is it below the video? Is it, how is this, my sponsorship, or how is it shown? And then being very clear about offers and that kind of thing. I would have, hindsight's 2020 though. It was a positive experience overall.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Absolutely. And this is one of the benefits of having someone with your experience on a show like this is we can all learn that experience together from you. So like, if you would tell us what all you were given for that sponsorship.
I was listed in some emails as the sponsor. And I think at the bottom of most of the pages for the online summit, there was a list of sponsors and my logo was bigger than everybody else's. I happened to, first time out, I pulled the trigger on the biggest sponsorship level, of course. So my logo was bigger. But it was at the bottom of the page and the bottom of most of the emails. Yeah.
And then you also got the opportunity to speak on it. Or did you speak on your business, or did you just speak on the normal topic of the summit? Like, how did that kind of work?
Oh, I spoke about a specific topic I usually talk about, which is just, confidence over compliments, how to feel your best basically, and how that actually closes sales. Excellent.
Okay. So now you said there was multiple levels. Do you remember how many different levels there were?
I think there were only two levels. And there was only one spot for the highest level. And then there was probably 6 spots for lower level sponsors.
Excellent. Cool. So let's go into the hypothetical world here.
Yeah.
Like if you could wave a magic wand, what would have made this kind of a no-brainer? Like if you could go back and say anything's possible, what would you have wanted to be a sponsor on a summit? Let's say on your next summit.
I think I would ask, if I was going to be the main sponsor, for them to at least say it once in the videos, or have a logo somewhere, or something in the actual content instead of just on the page. Because what happens is they can take that content and use it for anything afterwards. And I've, paid really good money to be the sponsor of that content. And it wasn't anywhere in that content. So that is the one thing that I probably would have been very clear about and will be clear about going forward.
Absolutely. So I like that. And that's a really good thing right there, that doesn't take much energy or effort from a host. Mention the main sponsor, the top sponsor in every video. Did you get a solo when you said they put it, there was an email, was it a solo email that went out to the audience about no? So I would say probably having for at least the top sponsor, a solo email that goes out thanking the sponsor or the sponsors.
Yeah.
Cool.
But still, for the investment at that time, because online summits were, I think they were fairly new at that time, the idea. For the investment, looking back, it was a pretty small investment to be the top sponsor. So all good in the hood, lessons learned, but super positive experience. Just
Absolutely.
Great for my business.
Great. Yeah. Excellent. And we're definitely looking at ways for most summits to be able to implement these sponsors, to implement sponsors. Cause I know a lot of them, they do in-kind. It's the most common thing is an in-kind sponsorship where they're like, hey, you email for me, I'll put your logo as a sponsor. So there's not, there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into it, which means there's a lot of room for improvement here. So
of course.
what was was there a process that you had to go through as far as filling out anything or kind of onboarding? Like, again, this is like your first summit, right? So like, we don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. Like, what was the onboarding process like?
It was a conversation first. I probably wouldn't have, signed up to do more than just speaking if I hadn't had a one-on-one conversation with the person, running it. So reaching out to potential sponsors personally is probably a number one, like so important. Just like anything in any high-end service business, if I don't talk to people one-on-one, they don't book me. So that's probably really important. After that, they just sent me basically an online form to fill out and an invoice. It was pretty simple to go through, just all the information that, podcast hosts fill out, just name, website, the address of your giveaway or offer, and then just a little bio about myself, what I plan on talking about, and then an invoice link.
That invoice link is so important, right? That's how they get the payment. I love that. Just brainstorming here, especially for, the audience, the Summit hosts listening into this. I mean, there's so many ways that you can make this valuable for your sponsor, in addition to just logos and emails, which are valuable. I love this idea we just came up with, Rose, about putting mentioning the sponsor during the actual presentations, or, top sponsor, you had mentioned in a pre-interview chat, putting the logo on the videos. That's another great way. But also, like, you have this brand new audience there. Getting that sponsor access to that audience could be super valuable, whether it's a solo email afterwards, or maybe like a partner webinar or something like that. Was there anything else that either they had you contribute or that you offered to contribute to the summit, other than just the speaker presentation? Did you have a free gift or anything like that?
I had a free gift. Yes. Yeah.
And that went out was that like in an email, or kind of like, how did you come up with the gift, and like, how did you position that around being the sponsor?
I think that was just a link below the video, and it may have gone out in email, but I'm not sure about that. I think people had to show up to the actual, the launch website with the video each day, because it was a multiple day summit. I think they had to actually, go through the portal, put in their email, blah, 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 to get to that video, to get the links to the content. So it was on that page, I believe. And I just came up with it. I think I used whatever free gift I had at that time available, whatever I had that month. Looking back, I probably would have been very specific. I would have asked a lot more questions about the audience to kind of tweak or change my my offer a little bit, maybe even putting them on a separate email list, so I can, when I reach out to them after getting it, I can talk about, wasn't that great on that summit? It's not just going to my bulk email list.
I think that's such an important tip that you just gave right there. Like, if you're ever speaking on a summit or sponsoring a summit and you're able to give away a free gift or an offer, create a separate segment on your list so you can communicate to them directly. I mean, a lot of times we think people remember us, right, Rose? But they're busy. They got a lot of people going through their email inbox. So when you can communicate specifically, that is great.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of change. Let's switch gears a little bit here, because you also speak on summits and you talk on a lot of virtual summits. So also from the aspect of a speaker, what's something that you think that summit hosts should be aware of when it comes to how they reaching out to their speakers, having their speakers speak? Like, what's a way to make this a collaborative, synergistic opportunity?
Great question. Not only do I speak online, but I get on a lot of like real life stages for conferences and masterminds and all that kind of thing. And the trend I've seen is that the more generous the host is to their speakers, as far as letting them make offers, letting them make even paid offers, the more generous that host is, the more they make at the end of that summit. Like, the ones that have let me get up there and make a paid offer, even like I usually give people a freebie and say, if there are any action takers, I have this available to you at this special price for this summit only for these few days. I invite you, like, you obviously as a host, when you're asking a speaker on, you don't want people that are salesy and kind of, ugh, you don't want to expose your audience to that. That's your job to call the people that are going to be salesy and yucky, right? You need to know that your speaker is going to make invitations instead of just like puke a sales a sales page all over them. But that being said, if you have the right speakers in the room and they are making paid offers, if that money flows, it will flow to you too. There's every time they let me make a paid offer and I make good money at it, or I get signups, they get triple what everybody else that wouldn't allow me to even make a free offer would make. I think the mindset is, oh, if people are buying your products or signing up for your membership or buying your book, they're not going to buy mine or buy the ticket or sign up for the thing that I'm selling at the end of this summit. But it's actually the opposite of that. I've seen once the money starts flowing, it's flowing. Like they're going to spend, they're going to feel positive. So that's what I've seen.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
No, I love that. It's like you said, it's a mindset thing, abundance versus, survival mindset. There's definitely enough to go around. And I mean, I see that in a lot of industries as well, not just on summits, but like people are like, oh, well, or, like competitors. Oh, well, they can't buy my competitor's program because it's the same kind of program as mine. But usually the people who want that program, they want that information across the board. So they're going to be the ones who buy everybody's program. So I love that kind of abundance mindset there. And then from a speaker's aspect, then like when you're like, you just kind of gave us a good strategy or tip here a second ago about crafting your offer more aligned for the audience. What about from a speaker aspect? Because we have a lot of people listening in who speak regularly on summits. What's any kind of a tip maybe that you could give to them when creating or crafting their speech for their summit?
Ooh, very good question. I have I speak about usually a very similar topic. One of my talents is just like thinking on my feet and kind of working with the audience and talking to them and kind of making it very interactive. When you're on an online summit, though, that's not a possibility. So asking a lot of really great questions to the host about who their clients are or who the audience will be is very, very important. So you can kind of make tweaks. You can do the same talk that you give. It can be the same title. I know a lot of really successful speakers that have one talk and use it for years. They're just able to ask really great questions and move on the fly and just change it here and there. I often, I've been taught to do like, these are the challenges that a lot of these clients face. If you have the goals these clients have, these are my top 3 tips. I'd never overteach. And I just, touch on the possible, like my top tips. And then it usually brings people in because they feel they just want more. But that all begins before the summit even starts, because I've asked really good questions about the audience. I've tweaked the tips. I've made it custom for them in a way, but the system is kind of the same. And that's also a great tip for getting booked for summits and booked for speaking to people's online groups and booked for speaking on stages. Ask really juicy, great questions about their audience and how you can best serve them. And that will make the hosts or the conference bookers feel really cozy and safe in allowing you to get in front of their audience.
Oh, I love that. And it's so good, especially if you can make the summit host feel good, they remember
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people on their summit, but the ones who stand out, it's about relationships, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. Now, I'd love to dig in just a little bit of with your process of going from, because you have had a in-person business that's
Mm-hmm.
gone to virtual business,
Yeah.
and it is a little bit on it's slightly different than a lot of the other online businesses out there selling just information products.
Yeah.
And I believe you probably have a lot of high touch in your business. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would love to just get aspect for a lot of our summit hosts that are listening into this on kind of your process of how you would, let's say you as a speaker, you're on a
Mm-hmm.
summit, you do an amazing presentation, you crush it, everybody loves you, your email list starts to fill up with people from this summit. What's a process that you're going to go through with them via virtual, email communications, and then maybe into like a call or something to get them into like a higher, bigger program? I'd love to hear that process.
Usually, the people that want that higher end, really right now, I only have two options. You either DIY it with my information pack, like my courses, books, that kind of thing, or we do a year-long virtual closet situation called Style on Demand, and it's more high touch. It's two very different clients that want those products. If they happen, if my high-end client happens to pop into a course first, I do have little, almost like off ramps here and there, just saying, if you are too if you're feeling like you're getting overwhelmed by this information and you're too busy and you want somebody just to do this for you or explain it to you in a call that's personalized in a VIP day, click here, book a quick talk, and we will talk about how to make that happen for you. So it's really two different people. There's little off ramps, but usually the ones that are buying the course won't hop over here, and the ones that are buying this don't want the course. So to answer your question, I don't know if I did answer your question.
No, I love that. Well, and this leads me to a follow-up here, because so let's say, somebody meets you online during a virtual summit. They get in, either to your list, or let's say they bought a course, but they're like, hey, I'm way too busy.
Yeah.
Most of the higher end clients are the ones who are like, hey, I just want it done for me. Okay. It's the do it done for you clients. And I like this because a lot of our summit hosts, they're just getting started. Many of them are just getting started. They're still building out their higher end programs and looking at how do I do this? And you've obviously got some experience in having that like call to get them into a higher end program. So let's say they take that off ramp and they go, you know what, I'm just too busy to do this. You mentioned like a VIP day, these things. Like, how would you set up that call? Like what's your kind of process that you're going to walk people through? Now you can take us through your specific process, and then other people can translate that into their own offerings. But let's get that experience, that wisdom from you.
Yeah. So if they click a link and go straight to book that little quick session, that's great. It doesn't happen that often. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time on email sequences and booking links and just so many things. When you really track it, at least for my business, what happens is they'll get frustrated, or I'll send a follow-up email saying, how's it going? That's automated. How's it going? Are you doing okay in the course? What do you think of the content? And they'll reply back going, oh, I'm stressed. I can't get this done. I wish you could do it for me. I reply back with, how's Thursday at 3? Does that work well for you? Let's have a talk. What's your number? And I'll just put it on my calendar for me. I send them a little Google reminder. Like, it doesn't have to be, we overcomplicate it. Just ask them if they're free this time or this time. They say this time, pick up the phone and call them. Don't think too much about it. Ask really great questions about why they needed the call, what they're struggling with, what they wish life was like, and kind of guide them down that path. Just ask questions. Don't talk too much. And when you drop the price, be quiet.
Oh, I love that. This is such good information right here. So you're asking questions. I think a lot of us, will get on these either sales calls or offerings, and we get a little nervous, or maybe we feel a little like imposter syndrome, which is normal. We all get that. And we just want to talk and feel like we have to add more. I love that. It's really and like you said, like what do you wish the world was like? You're really almost selling them on the idea of what it could be like if they had you. I love that. We talk a lot about how people don't want the information or the knowledge. They want the result that the information or the knowledge brings them. So focus on that. Yeah. And then you gave such an important piece of information there. At any time when you make an offer and you say the price, stop talking. I think one of the old sayings used to be the person who speaks first loses. After the price. So just let them say whatever they're going to say. That was such great information. Well, I mean, since we have you on here, there's a lot of us, including myself, that could use some help in the stylist area. But let's see if we can kind of translate this to some degree in the summit space. What about let's talk about stylist, maybe tips or strategies for those of us who are going to be on video on a summit. Like what's some tips and pointers you can give us here?
Okay, number one, just because I am an image consultant as well, it's like everything visual counts. You are creating a visual narrative. Everything in this screen counts. So you have a great, very artistic background. I have a background that kind of looks like I'm in an office/closet because, I am. My office doubles as an extra closet. That's the bonus of being a stylist. But I have thought about, what needs to be in the background? Do I want it to be really well lit? I have extra lights in here. I have strategically placed lights. Lighting is super important. But yes, what you're wearing is super important too. Dressed up from the desk up. Like you have to have something going on there, and it has to kind of represent your personality a little bit. The more your personality shines through your personal style, because we put on this identity every day, right? RuPaul always says you're born and then the rest is drag, or you're born naked and the rest is drag, which is true. We put on these identities, and whether we're intentional about it or not, we're doing it. So if you think about what your personal style is, what your personality is, if that comes across on the screen, what you're doing is waving this flag saying, ideal clients that really would like to work with this person, with this personality, come on over here. The rest will fall away. The right people will get on your list. It is such a great marketing tactic that so many business owners and summit leaders and conference leaders, they miss it. They just are thinking about all the different aspects, but not about what people are seeing, not about just like, they're getting these feelings instantly, especially online, because you are 2D. There's no smelling your perfume. There's no feeling how firm your handshake is. There's no real seeing your eye contact. There's an instant yes or no kind of vibe that happens, and it's hard to wash it away with all the content. So you really want to be yourself, but there are some tricks. Do you want to know some tricks okay. So I keep this blazer nearby almost all the time. If I have to hop on a quick sales Zoom call or a Zoom call with a current client, I will pop on a quick blazer. That's my go-to piece, but it could be something else for everybody else. Just to pop something on quick that gives a little bit of structure, a little bit of interest, and just kind of shapes up what I'm already wearing. I'm wearing jeans and a turtleneck under this. I ran my kid to school before this happened. I popped on an earring, put on some lipstick, and popped on a blazer and got on the call. And it still represents my personality, but it wasn't hard to do. It's not hard. Yeah.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
I love that. So have some kind of quick go-tos that you can throw on and put on there. What about finding your style, finding your identity? I mean, you've touched on that a little bit. I think there's a lot of us out there that would love to get some insights into that as well.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have a little fun quiz that anybody can take. If you just go to mystyleclass.com/quiz, it will take you right to my little fun quiz. I do specifically market to women business owners. So if you're a fella taking the quiz, you're just going to have to navigate around that. I do work with, in my personal styling business, I do have a few guys that I help. But I've just, seen that my market tends to be women business owners. They see the ROI, they see how important it is, they know how much it affects their confidence, and confidence closes. So that tends to be my niche.
Oh, I love that. Confidence closes. And we'll definitely link to this say that again?
Every time.
We'll link to this quiz over in the show notes as well, so that we can have everybody going over there and taking it. And guys and gals, I'm definitely interested in how the guys respond to it. Make sure you let us all know what you got out of that and what your style is, so we can all have fun with that together. So, Rose, as we start to wrap up this episode here, I would love for you to kind of give us, whatever comes out, either from a sponsor or a speaker aspect, what is something that you just think you want to leave our summit hosts with, something that they need to be thinking about when they're out there setting up, creating, getting ready to run their summit?
I think it all comes back to that mindset piece that we touched on. I think that's a very important part. If you at all get lost in the process of creating this, and the process and the stress of wrangling all the cats and the speakers and the audience and the lists and all the things, just remember why you started doing it. Remember the service, the spark of service behind this. Who did you want to help? Why do you want to help them? Why do you think that's going to impact the world positively? When you can connect back to that really easily and keep connecting back to that, it's going to keep it positive. You're going to get the best speakers because you're thinking about the service part. And I just feel like it will end up making the entire thing feel more like a beautiful gift instead of a funnel.
I love that. And for all the podcast listeners, we got a nice little wink there from Rose with that as well. Excellent. Well, I'm absolutely loving this, Rose. And I know a lot of our audience is sitting there thinking Mark, I need more of Rose in my life. How can I get in touch with her? Where can I follow her at? Where's she hanging out at? So why don't you just let everybody know how they can get in touch with you and where you're hanging out at?
Mystyleclass.com is the website address. And then anywhere I am, usually Instagram, Facebook, it's My Style Class. So at My Style Class.
I love that. And again, we'll link to all of this over in the show notes so that you guys and gals can go get access to Rose. So Rose, thank you so much for this information. It's been a blast. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Mark.
Absolutely. And thank you, all you Summit hosts, for spending this time with Rose and I. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, your host here on the Virtual Summit Podcast. And just remember, your message matters. So go out there, make an impact in the world. Don't forget to get access to all these amazing little goodies that Rose has been giving us. Go check out the show notes at podcast.virtualsummits.com/126. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit Podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.